how to shine just by being authentically you. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, where did that bright, confident version of me go? Maybe the face looking back at you seems a little more tired, a little more cautious. Maybe you've spent so many years taking care of others, following the rules, doing what's expected, that somewhere along the way, a part of you got buried. But here's the truth, that spark, that light, that you, it never left. It's just waiting for a chance to shine again. And no, I don't mean by chasing trends or pretending to be someone you're not. I'm talking about something so much more powerful, something that can't be bought or faked. I'm talking about shining just by being authentically you. Now, that might sound simple, even obvious. But let's be honest, it's not always easy. Especially as we get older. Society doesn't exactly throw a spotlight on people over 60. Sometimes, it feels like we've been pushed off stage altogether. But what if I told you that this chapter of your life might just be the most powerful one yet, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're finally free to be exactly who you are? Today, we're going to talk heart to heart. No fluff. No pressure to become someone new. Just a gentle reminder of who you've always been, and how you can let that person shine, starting right now. Let's start with something that might surprise you. You don't have to do more to shine. You just have to be more of yourself. Think about that. Most of us were raised to believe that our worth comes from what we do, how much we accomplish, how many people we help, how perfectly we play our roles as parents, partners, workers. And while there's nothing wrong with that, it can leave us exhausted and disconnected from who we really are inside. So here's the first thing I want you to remember: your presence is powerful. Just by being in a room, just by speaking with kindness, listening with your heart, or sharing a laugh, you're already creating warmth. You don't need to have the loudest voice or the biggest story. Sometimes, just being fully present, fully you, is the brightest light in the room. Now, how do we start reconnecting with that version of ourselves? One beautiful place to begin is by letting go of the pressure to be who others expect you to be. Maybe you've always been the responsible one, the peacemaker, the strong one who never cries. Those labels can feel like armor, but they can also feel like cages. You are more than any role you've ever played. And it's okay, now, to take that armor off. Let me tell you about a woman named Gloria. She spent her entire life taking care of everyone, her kids, her husband, her aging parents. She always put herself last. When she turned 68, she told me something I'll never forget. She said, "For the first time in my life, I wake up and ask myself what I want. Not what I'm supposed to want. Just what I want. And it feels like I'm meeting myself all over again." That right there? That's the magic. When you start listening to your own voice again, even in the quietest ways, you start to shine from the inside out. So here's a little practice you can try. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you turn on the TV, just sit quietly for a minute. Ask yourself, what do I feel like doing today? What would bring me joy? Don't overthink it. Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's writing a letter to an old friend. Maybe it's wearing that bright red scarf you've always loved but never felt brave enough to put on. Whatever it is, honor it. That small act of listening to yourself is a powerful way to reconnect. And that leads us to something else that matters deeply. Authenticity isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. One of the most radiant people I know is in her 70s. Her name is Ruth, and she's got silver hair, a loud laugh, and she wears mismatched socks on purpose. She says, "Why match socks when I don't even match my couch pillows?" She doesn't try to hide her wrinkles or smooth out her story. She talks about the hard times, the regrets, the things she's still figuring out. And somehow, that makes everyone around her feel braver. Because here's the secret most people miss: when you are brave enough to be real, you give other people permission to do the same. We spend so much time trying to hide our scars, but maybe the scars are where the light gets in. You've lived through heartbreaks, goodbyes, mistakes, and miracles. All of it shaped you. All of it added depth to your voice, wisdom to your eyes, and strength to your presence. Why hide that? There's something beautiful about someone who's lived enough to stop pretending. Someone who says, "This is me. I've earned every line on my face. I'm still learning, and I'm still growing. But I'm not ashamed of who I've become." That kind of confidence? That quiet, steady, grounded confidence? It doesn't fade with age, it gets stronger. Now, maybe you're thinking, "But I've spent so long hiding, I don't even know where to start." That's okay. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to notice the moments where you feel most like you. Pay attention to them. That's your compass. Maybe it's when you're dancing in the kitchen to a song from 1972. Or when you're helping a neighbor fix a fence. Or when you're telling a funny story and everyone's laughing so hard they can't breathe. That's the real you. That's where the shine lives. And here's the best part: when you begin living from that place, when you stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be honest, you don't just feel better. You help others feel seen too. So, let's take a deep breath right now. Let go of the shoulds. Let go of the masks. You don't need to compete with younger people or compare yourself to anyone else. You don't need to be more, just more you. Because being authentically yourself, that's the most powerful, most inspiring thing you can ever be. Let's keep going, heart to heart. You know, it's funny how we spend so much of our early life trying to fit in, and then we hit a point where we just want to feel free. Not rebellious. Not loud. Just at peace with who we are. But even then, many of us still carry around this little voice that whispers, "You're too old for that," or "People won't get it." And that voice? It can be so convincing. So sneaky. But let me tell you something, the real you doesn't need permission to show up. You just need to stop believing the voice that says you're not enough. One powerful way to quiet that voice is this: surround yourself with people who see you, not the version of you that's been edited, filtered, or trimmed down to fit into someone else's expectations. Just you, in your raw, beautiful form. Think about your current circle. Are you around people who uplift you? Or do they make you feel like you have to tone yourself down? I once met a man named Carl. He was 73, widowed, and had just moved to a new town to be closer to his grandchildren. He told me, "It's funny. I thought I came here for them. But really, I came here for me. To start over. To find people who didn't know me as the old version of Carl, but who would accept this one, the one who cries at movies, who started painting again, who sings badly at karaoke night and doesn't care." That kind of courage is contagious. Sometimes, shining means stepping into new spaces, trying new groups, reconnecting with an old passion, or even joining a community of people who get it. People who are also on that journey of rediscovering who they are now. And don't think for a second that it's too late. It's not. You're not too old. You're not too slow. You're not behind. If anything, you're right on time. Let's talk about something else that often gets overlooked. Your quirks, the things you've been told to hide or fix, are often the very things that make people love you. Maybe you laugh too loud. Maybe you always tell long stories. Maybe you've got strong opinions about how tea should be made or why socks should never be worn to bed. Whatever it is, don't smother it. Don't dull it down. Those little things? They're the color in your character. They're what make you memorable. And when you embrace them, you give others the freedom to embrace their quirks too. There's a woman in my neighborhood named Judy. She's 66 and runs a small gardening club from her porch every Sunday. The first time I met her, she said, "If you don't like dogs, dirt, or Neil Diamond, this porch isn't for you." I laughed out loud. But you know what? That kind of boldness, wrapped in warmth and honesty, draws people in. It's not about being loud or flashy. It's about being clear. Clear about who you are, what matters to you, and what makes you feel alive. And when you live in that clarity, people notice. They're drawn to it. Because we're all secretly craving something real. Now, I know some of you watching might be thinking, but I've never been someone who puts myself out there. I've always kept to myself. And that's okay too. You don't need to suddenly become the life of the party. Shining doesn't mean being the brightest in the room, it means being the truest. If you're quiet, be gentle and thoughtful. If you're bold, be passionate and kind. If you're silly, let yourself laugh out loud. Whatever your natural rhythm is, honor it. You don't have to wear someone else's personality like a costume. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs you. Let's take a moment now and talk about something deeper. To truly shine as yourself, you have to stop apologizing for who you are. How many times have you said things like, "Sorry I talk too much," or "Sorry, this might be a dumb idea," or even just apologized for showing emotion? We do it all the time, without even noticing. But every time we apologize for something that isn't wrong, we're dimming our light. From today forward, I want you to catch yourself in those moments. Instead of apologizing, own it. Own your thoughts. Own your stories. Own your presence. You've earned the right to be heard, not just politely tolerated. Your voice matters. Your thoughts have weight. And your experiences? They're gold. You've lived through seasons of change, loss, joy, transition, and healing. That gives you a kind of wisdom that no textbook, no influencer, no social media trend can ever replicate. You carry stories in your bones, lessons in your laughter, and the more you share those, the more you light up the world around you. One of the most touching conversations I had was with a man named Lewis. He said, "When I was younger, I used to try to be impressive. Now, I just try to be honest. I've found that people connect more with my honesty than they ever did with my image." Isn't that powerful? Honesty about who you are, how you feel, and what matters to you is magnetic. It draws in the right people. It opens doors you never saw coming. It creates space for deeper friendships, more meaningful conversations, and a life that feels like it actually fits. So let's pause here for just a breath. Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding, "I'm not going to hide today. I'm not going to shrink or apologize. I'm going to show up as myself and trust that it's enough." That decision, quiet and simple as it may seem, is one of the most powerful you can make. And you don't need a plan, or a schedule, or a big announcement. You just need to start living each day a little closer to your truth. Not perfectly. Just a little more you. Let's take this home together. You've made it this far in the conversation, and that tells me something beautiful about you. You're ready. Not for some big transformation, not to become someone new, but to come home to yourself. To remember what it feels like to walk through the world without the weight of pretending. And if that makes your heart feel even a little lighter, then that's your signal, you're on the right path. There's one more piece of this puzzle we haven't touched on yet, and it might be the most important of all. To shine as your most authentic self, you have to forgive yourself for the times you dimmed your own light. Maybe you said yes when you wanted to say no. Maybe you stayed silent when your heart begged you to speak. Maybe you let fear or shame keep you small. We've all done it. Every one of us. But you don't have to carry that anymore. You are not behind. You're not broken. You haven't missed your moment. You're standing in it, right now. Forgiveness isn't a one-time thing. It's a gentle, daily act of saying, "I'm doing the best I can." And that's enough. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. You're allowed to let go of identities that no longer fit. You're allowed to walk away from things that drain you and walk toward the things that light you up. Because here's the truth, when you stop living to impress others and start living in alignment with your own truth, something incredible happens. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that are meant for you. Not for the mask. Not for the performance. For you. And you don't have to rush it. Just one honest moment at a time. Maybe it's telling someone how you really feel. Maybe it's wearing something that makes you smile, even if it's not trendy. Maybe it's trying something new just because it excites you, not because it makes sense to anyone else. That's how we build a life that fits. Not with huge leaps, but with tiny, brave choices made from the heart. Let me ask you something personal. What did you love when you were young, before the world told you what was practical? Maybe you loved writing poems, or making people laugh, or building things with your hands, or caring for animals. That version of you didn't vanish. They've just been waiting patiently, like an old friend you haven't called in a while. Why not pick up the phone? I once knew a man named Earl. At 78, he started taking piano lessons, something he had wanted to do since he was 10. When I asked him why he waited so long, he just smiled and said, "I spent most of my life proving things to other people. Now I just want to see what happens when I follow joy." That's the kind of life I want for you. One that's rooted in truth, in peace, in joy. Not perfection, just presence. Because the older we get, the more we realize time is precious. And the most meaningful thing you can do with it is live fully as yourself. Not for applause. Not for validation. But for the quiet, soul-deep satisfaction of knowing that when your head hits the pillow at night, you were real. You were brave. You were you. And the world noticed. It noticed the way you smiled at strangers. The way you listened without judgment. The way your laugh filled a room. The way your wisdom wrapped around someone's heart and made them feel seen. You didn't have to try. You didn't have to chase anything. You just were. So if you've ever wondered whether your life still has light in it, let me assure you, it does. And not just a flicker. A glow. A presence. A warmth that can be felt, even in silence. You are not invisible. You are not irrelevant. You are not past your prime. You are a walking, breathing reminder that authenticity never goes out of style. So go ahead, share your story. Say what you mean. Laugh loud. Cry when you need to. Show up with your wrinkles, your wisdom, your wit. Let the world feel the full weight of your presence. Because the world needs more of that. More truth. More grace. More people who've lived enough to stop pretending. And if you're thinking, but what if people don't like the real me? Let them go. The ones who matter. They'll see your light. And they'll shine right back. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you something from the heart. If this message touched something inside you, if it stirred a memory, or made you think of someone you love, or just made you feel a little less alone, would you share it in the comments? I'd love to hear what being authentically you means to you. No right or wrong answers. Just your truth. And if you found this helpful, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more videos like this. This little community we're building? It's not about followers, it's about connection. And there's room here for you. Thank you for spending this time with me. Really. You didn't have to, but you did. And that means more than you know. So here's to you. To your voice. Your story. Your journey. Your light. Here's to living your best life, authentically, unapologetically, and with all the heart in the world. You don't have to try harder. You just have to come home to who you already are. And that's how you shine.